back to another very interesting video. This is quite an unusual one. I don't think I've ever shown this before on the channel. Certainly I haven't seen any other videos looking at this. What you're going to see in this video is something, well, two things. First of all, as you can see, there's a foreign body in the ear. It's actually a hearing aid. This is a Phonak lyric hearing aid, which has gotten horrendously wet. It's basically welded itself to the ear canal walls, and the ear canal is also a little swollen, so it's very, very, very difficult to get out without causing damage, without hurting the patient. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you're going to see non-infective otitis externa. So what is that? Well, oto is here, and itis is inflammation, so meaning redness, heat, pain, swelling, dysfunction. So otitis is infection of the ear, and externa just means external ear, so ear canal. So normally when we think about an ear infection, otitis externa, we think about bacteria, we think about fungus, we think about the same thing that you would think of if you say you got a cut on your hand and that cut became infected, right? So bacteria probably has invaded the skin, invaded the body, and the body's response to that is to dilate the blood vessels, get fluid into that area, increasing migration of white blood cells into the area, and so on. So it's infected. However, you can get inflammation of the body when there's no pathogen, and that's what we're going to see here. Now, it's not the same as a scratch or trauma per se. This is a very weird example of that, because basically what's happened is the ear has gotten really wet. Now, when you put in a hearing aid like this, which is not common, these hearing aids are not common, it's quite a sort of niche specialist thing, but you use a microscope and you sort of measure the ear canal and size it such that you can get this hearing aid in about 4 millimeters from the eardrum, and then you leave it there. The patient leaves it there for say 2.5, 3 months at a time, and they eat with it, sleep with it, shower with it, and so on. So it's sort of like a semi-permanent device, and it can withstand moisture. It's meant, it's built to last. It's meant to withstand quite a bit of moisture, but at a certain point, it can take no more. And these yellow seals, there are actually two in there. Really, all you can see is the first yellow seal, but there is another one behind that. What they're designed to do, this is polyurethane, and it's actually hydrophilic, which means that these seals like water. And the seals, or flanges, whatever you want to call them, they're not just there to help the lyrics stay in place. They're actually supposed to wick moisture away from that little cavity that you create. So if you put the hearing aid about 4 millimeters from the eardrum, then there's a little space, isn't there, between the eardrum and the lyrics, and that can get humid, moisture can build up there inside the ear. So the seals are meant to draw moisture away and out of the ear, hydrophilic. But when this lyric got wet, the patient did the worst thing that he could have done. He went into a steam room for ages and ages and ages. So of course, these yellow seals became absolutely saturated. And when they become saturated, they stick, as I said, they weld themselves to the ear canal. But also they lose that ability to wick moisture away from the eardrum. And what you get is this very weird, unusual looking case where the ear is just so wet and damp and soggy that it looks horrendously infected, but actually it's not. So it's a special crocodile forceps specifically for this job. The reason, in case you're wondering at this point, you may think, well, God, there's a lot of faffing around here, with a hook and forceps and so on and so forth. It's basically, back in the early days when I first started doing these, I'll never forget, I called on the blue strings. So the patient needed, the lyric had failed because it got wet. So I thought, you know what, sorry, I'll pull on the blue strings and just yank it out. Wrong this is very, very different to removing wax or plugs of dead skin. It's a very, very different skill set, because if you yank it out, you will cause horrendous pain, but also you will cause damage. So when you're removing a wet lyric like this, there's often a very, very fine balance between getting it out and also getting it out in a sense that it's not going to hurt, and getting it out such that you minimise the damage, minimise the trauma and really, the worst that can happen is that you have hematomas, so you have underneath the skin, you have really cold hematomas, that you can get hematomas in the eardrum, or hematomas of the ear canal, which are so big that which is a blood vessel. So you have a blood vessel which is so big that it spills the ear canal. So here now, just cutting patches on the skin, I have spinning around it enough times with this to loosen the seals. And if you're wondering why I did this, I did apply olive oil just because I was struggling so much. I don't know if that helped, but it's in the medical guidance with you can apply a lubricant, so I'm not entirely sure if it helped.